What's up everybody? In the past few videos I gave you guys this link, poll.schizophrenicgamer.com, so you guys could vote on what you think should be buffed in the next upcoming Summoners War balance patch. You guys voted so many. Every time I do another video, say what the top 10 of this next one is, it's like so many more votes have come in since then. So we had over 4,000 people vote. Yeah, 4,000 people since the poll started at, again, poll.schizophrenicgamer.com. So today we're going to go over the top 10 water units that you guys, based on your votes, think should be buffed in this upcoming balance patch. Number 10 on the list with 429 votes. By the way, in every video, these votes, there's more number of people voting. So in every video, these numbers seem to go up. So it's not like Remi needs to be buffed as much as the highest fire unit needed to get buffed. It's just, at this point, the fire units, actually the list has stayed the same, but all the numbers have basically doubled or maybe even more, right? But the list order has actually stayed the same for the fire ones. Just since more people are voting, that's why the vote numbers are getting big, but the percentages are staying the same. Anyway, Remi, the first one on the list. Oh, please buff Remi. I mean, it's not even that he needs to be better. It's just that, what is he for? Like, that's the thing. His first skill is the same as the other ones, right? He's the same as the fire one, is the same as like all the other ones have the same first skill, right? Second skill attacks the enemy, decreases the target's attack bar, and decreases attack speed, damage based on defense. Okay, I get that. Woodvine, limit the enemy turns. Third skill, Hedgehog's Thorn, increases the crit rate of all allies and decreases their chances of receiving a critical hit for 2 turns. What? It's like an offense skill, but it's a defense skill at the same time. He doesn't know what he wants to be there for. It's like, do you use him to support your DPS units, or do you use him to keep things from getting crit on? He doesn't really know. He's like, it's for the same reason as like Christina the Wind Cannon Girl, for the same reason as like the Water Magical Archer. Like, it's a little bit here and it's a little bit there, and it's like, come to us. What do you want the unit to do? You want it to do this or you want it to do that? Go in one direction, not half here and half there. It's like, I don't know, man. It's like Comtois has one big spaghetti noodle and half of it is in like some ramen broth and the other half is in like spaghetti, like Italian spaghetti sauce. And it's like, what? Pick one dish. I don't know. Why is that my go-to metaphor? But this guy definitely, it's not that he needs to be like a buffed version of this. It's that this needs to be changed to one or the other. Either support to heal and keep things from dying and like a crit resist and a defense buff, or a crit rate buff and an attack power buff, or a speed buff, or something like that. Anyway, yeah, Remi definitely deserves to be on this list. Number 10, 429 votes. Number 9 on the list with 480 votes, Kaz the Water Samurai. So Kaz, actually back in the day, he's a water unit that's a DPS unit. He does damage based on his attack speed and attack power. He's got a defense break. He's got attack gauge reduction actually on skill 2. He does them damage based on speed, and he also buffs his own speed there. So you think like, oh, water speedy, water DPS. He's basically like a budget Barbara. He's similar to Barbara, he's similar to Water Chimera, he's similar to a little bit like a Jir because he's got the attack gauge decrease. He also he activates his Sword of the Supreme Skywolf with a certain chance for each one of these hits. This is a little chance, this is a bigger chance, this is a bigger chance, and then he gets an extra chance to activate them when he crits. But when he activates Sword of the Supreme Skywolf, he gets like a little special aura around him, and then he gets a shield, and he gets access to this Sword of Supreme Skywolf skill. All the samurais do, and then it does big AOE damage. So basically, he's a fast water DPS unit that does damage based on speed, attack gauge reduction, and defense break. But especially with something like, he was never really special before. He was never really beloved before. Some people like to use him because like I said, he's a water unit that does some decent damage. He's kind of like, you can compare him to the Water Chimera. But now that Barbara has come out, it's like, if you have Barber, there is absolutely no reason to build Kaz, because it's basically just Kaz is a not as good version of Barber, but I mean, it's a 4-star versus a 5-star, because 480 votes on the list. Number 8 on the list with 520 votes, Fedora the Explorer. No, Fedora the Water Death Knight. 520 votes. Support unit. He's got 3 debuffs. He's got a cleanse. He's got a leader skill that's applicable everywhere. Defense of ally monsters by 25%. He's actually the only place that I ever use him on any of my accounts is for R5, right? Because he's got a cleanse and he's got immunity. The cleanse is more important than the immunity in R5, right? And then he's got the leader skill, and he's got 3 debuffs here. He's got the Disturb HP Recovery, he's got the Defense Break, and the Attack Power Break. And it's good activation rates on all of these as well. I think the biggest thing with Fedora is that he just does immunity, and he does the Endure buff. Like, Theomars has the Endure buff, but it's just passively, it'll automatically activate. With Fedora, he's got so many turns in between where there's no immunity going on, where there's no protection from death, there's no endure. So it's just a long cooldown for 2-turn immunity. And it's like, okay, it was kind of the same problem with Ileana. Like, she wasn't that good before they buffed her, and now, oh, she's great. So maybe he needs to have something kind of similar to what they did with Ileana to make him more viable, right? Maybe like a shield here, or something else. So I think definitely make this viable, or even especially because another thing about Ileana is she can cycle with her second skill. She can kind of give herself more turns. If she's on Violent and she cycles with her second skill, she's got that immunity up even more than it actually says on the skill, right? Because she just gives herself extra turns. So with this decline, it's just most of the battle it's not available. So it's not like Veligul and Wusa, like they have their immunity most of the time. Fedora is like, most of the time, I'm not doing anything. Most of the time, like, use it for a skill, heal blocking the enemy. It's the decline that needs to have reduced cooldown by like another turn, and then like a little something extra. Like the Endure is not anything. Theomar's Endure procs by itself as a passive. That's why he's so good. This you needing a skill to proc is like, that's not really anti-cleave. If this procced automatically, if it was like when he would take lethal damage, he procs decline. Wow, that would be a huge difference in Fedora's viability. If you're gonna Lucian Fedora, right? If you put Fedora on defense, bear with me. If you have Fedora on defense and he is buffed where this decline procs automatically upon like when you would take lethal damage. Let's say you have a Lucian or you have a Fedora, and then you have like, I don't know what else you have, like some other, whatever other 3 units on defense. He takes lethal damage, he procs decline, he cleanses all the debuffs from your team, and he gives them Endure, and then the other hits from amputation magic don't kill him or the rest of your team because they all have Endure. That would be a huge buff for Fedora. I would just throw in some ideas out there. If this procced automatically, it'd be crazy, right? It'd be really good, right? Proc automatically, give it 1 less turn, and he's an actual unit that you would see in the meta as an anti-cleave unit. Contrast, you could use that idea. You don't even have to credit me, even though it's on video, so we all know. We all know. But anyway, or like a shield and an extra turn of invincibility, or a shield, a shield and then 1 less turn cooldown. I still feel like the cooldown needs to be less. But number 8, 520 votes. Number 7 with 541 votes, Ikaru the Water Inugami. Now I'm curious what you guys feel would be a good buff for Ikaru the Water Inugami, because he was second awakened, but not really too many people using him, right? Not really too many people using him. Do you feel that this team up should be just regardless of the defense, it should just team up with everyone regardless, right? Maybe that's why, because then you could put him on Swift and you could be like, oh, I'm just gonna have him super crazy fast. Because the thing with him on Swift without with this stipulation is to get him that fast, you need to sacrifice his other stats like his defense, for example, right? So I think he's an interesting unit. I have him built Actually, I didn't even build him on Swift because I have him on my my Europe server account, and I'm like, we can't get any speed on him at all because runes, right? So I'm like, let's just make him really tanky and make him a bruiser, and he's actually like, he's kind of similar to a Water Feng Yan. He's a defense-based DPS unit that has a revenge and also, you know, has a counterattack and also defense breaks. So he's kind of like a budget Feng Yan, a budget Water Feng Yan. That's basically how I use him. He actually works pretty decently. But I just think about him as that instead of thinking about him as a fast DPS unit. I just think about him like he's a Water Feng Yan. So anyway, 541 votes. I think there's other units that should be buffed more. Like the Water Undyne, for example, just barely missed the list, but she would have been like number 11. But I feel like she would need to be. I feel like she's kind of less relevant than the Ikaru. I feel like you can still use Ikaru as like I said, budget Water Feng Yan. Number 6 with 553 votes, Sharon the Water Magic Archer. I feel like this is skewed though. I feel like this is courtesy of me complaining about her for like the past week or so. Sharon the Water and comparing everything to like, and then you look at Sharon the Water Magic Archer, who doesn't make sense, and then everyone's like, yeah, let me click on that Water Magic Archer. Bega said it doesn't make sense. So basically the first skill, right, is the same as the other ones. The second skill is an AoE speed break, right? She's a 3-star. She doesn't need to have anything super crazy. It's an AoE speed break. She's got an attack power leadership skill, 35%. But this third skill, 3 water hours. See, the problem with this is it's based on defense. And it's kind of like it's the same thing. It's the spaghetti situation. The good old come to a spaghetti situation. Can we make that a thing? Come to a spaghetti situation? Where, no, maybe we shouldn't. Maybe we shouldn't. Where it's like, they don't know. It's like an attack unit, but also it does damage based on defense. Terrible base defense, but it does damage based on base defense. Like, why does it do damage based on defense if it is not a defense-based unit? It doesn't have good defense, and the other skills don't do damage based on defense. It's attack, attack, attack. Everything is attack, right? And then, hey, defense. Like, she's got good attack power. If we look at her, I don't know if we can see her 6-starred, but she's got good attack. I don't think we can see her 6-starred. Yeah, no monsters, yeah. Yeah, oh, there we go. 823 attack, that's not bad. 439 defense. Like, that's not a thing. Also, oh no, it is crit damage. It is crit damage. Oh god. That is speed crit damage attack. And that is, see, this is why I don't use 5-star root. And it's grinded! It's grinded! Oh my god, I want to cry. Oh, oh god. Okay, that's crit damage, slot 4. And it didn't even pass 100 crit damage. Okay, anyway, wow. 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 That's why I hate 5-star runes. I hate 5-star crit damage runes. I don't have those on anything. It's gross. It's gross. Anyway, she's got the what were we even talking about? She's got bad base defense, but she does damage based on defense. It doesn't make any sense. Just change this. At the very least, just change this to damage based on attack. Boom. You're done. You're done, Comtuous. That's it. You buffed her. That's it. It's so easy. It's so easy, and it just requires logic and common sense. Oh, we're asking too much. We're asking too much from them. Cracking into the top 5. Number 5 on the list is Belial at 566 votes. So I liked this guy before I got him, and then I got him, and I still kind of like him, but he does need a little something. He does need a little tweak, right? So he's got this first skill. We talked about it a little bit in the fire video as well. It does have it, like, if you absorb the HP from something that has a crazy amount of HP, you can actually do some pretty decent damage with it with that first skill, but it's boss excluded now, right? It had to be nerfed, so it's boss excluded. The second skill is kind of similar to Mo Long, right? Does some damage to himself, consumes half your current HP, attacks the enemy target, ignores a portion of the enemy's defense as your HP status worsens. So I like water ignore defense is pretty cool, right? So similar to Mo Long, similar to anything else that ignores defense. I just like ignore defense because then you don't need a defense break with him, right? And I was playing around with him. I have him on my Asia server account. I think he's not that bad. He's pretty decent. But his third skill, like, here's kind of the thing. Like, his third skill is really cool, but in actual usage, he never actually gets this, right? Like over the course of like the gameplay, it's like he doesn't get it. It's like people just save him for the last, or like he'll die and then the enemy gets enough turns and he doesn't actually fill up the 12 turn meter for him to get another turn, right? So there's that. And then also the arena resistance leader skill. It's like, there's not a whole lot of times that you're going to be picking him. And then also, first off, you don't really see him too much in arena defense because he's a squishy water unit, right? And Lucian exists. And then also you don't really see him too much in arena offense that you would want to use this arena leader skill for. It's like, it's just basically he's a DPS unit and he's got a leader skill for resistance. It's kind of pointless to have DPS units with resistance leader skills. It doesn't make any sense. Like the leader skill should make sense with the unit, like attack power or crit rate for DPS or speed for DPS units. And then for tanky units, you want like resistance. So like a resistance would make more sense on a tanky unit or a unit like, or to like defense or tanky unit and HP tanky unit, right? Or speed. Speed is just good on everyone, right? But he's not really a unit that you bring too much into RTA. He's not really a unit that you bring too much into arena offense or defense. I could see him being used in some arena offenses, though. Don't get me wrong. Like, especially fire-heavy ones. But he's a single target, though. But anyway, 566 votes, number 5 on the list. I think that he's pretty good with it. I like the Madness Judgment. But this repeated nightmare, he never really gets access to his passive. That could be tweaked, and then the leader skill could be changed. Is nice, because I mean, he just doesn't really get a whole lot of access to this, or at all really. Number 4 on the list with 736 votes, Liesel the Water Vampire. You guys are really telling me that you do not like your DPS units to have low attack power. And no debuffs. I believe this does damage increase as the enemy's HP status decreases. Yeah, 5 hits. Why would you use him over Julie though? Well, that's the question. That's why people went and buffed. Because why would you use him over Julie? Julie's just better. Her AI is good. She does more damage. She's an attack type unit. Julie just makes more sense. At 5 stars, 492 versus, where is Julie? Versus 613, and that's at 5 stars. Can we see her at 6 stars? Can we see the difference between stats? 834. Why does everyone have terrible runes? 834. Maybe that's my runes. 834. Oh, that's not Awakened. Good monster, but not Awakened. 834 versus 670. I like, he actually gave him a ton of stats. What is this? This is a 40,000 HP before towers. Before towers, Liesel with 200 crit damage. He really, really, really loves Liesel. Why? Why is my question? But like the big difference between attack power of these two units, right? And then Julie also has her her third skill, 50% extra damage for each beneficial effect on the enemies, and also 6 hits, right? So just more damage and more damage and more damage, and she's an attack type unit, and he's an HP unit that's like, damage increases, enemy HP status increases. I have him 6 star and I have him built. It's not that much damage, right? He's not that much. Like, I've actually used him, and I kept him rune 2, and then I'm like, I probably don't need runes on this guy. I really gotta take his runes up. He's also has a HP dungeon leader skill, which is like, that's not really, I mean, HP dungeon leader skills, like, that's the only reason that you use the HP dungeon leader skill is like early game, right? Like Sigmar's dungeon leader skill, but I mean, you just use Sigmar's, which is just better in every way than Liesel. He's got this, recovers by inflicted damage, and then he's got this, which is a beneficial effect block and attack power break and speed break as well, which could actually be useful. I mean, he's got some uses for his second skill, but it's this killing wave. It's both the monster classification of, also he didn't even break 100 speed as far as his base stats. He didn't break 100 speed. It's his classification being an HP unit, which doesn't make any sense. It's his leader skill, which again doesn't make any sense. If you're gonna keep him an HP unit, make him do some kind of support like HP damage based on HP or something like that, right? Something based on his max HP, because nothing is based on his max HP, but he's an HP unit. He's just the classification of the unit doesn't make sense. It's been 6 years. Tipping it down to us, 6 years still doesn't make sense, and then this is just not. He's the DPS unit. They gave him the skills of a DPS unit without giving him the stats of a DPS unit. Or the leader skill of a DPS unit. He's just the monster doesn't make it's the spaghetti situation. It's the spaghetti situation. Pick one. Comp to us. Is he DPS or is he HP? Right. Anyway, number 4 with 736 votes. Very valid. Basically, all these things are kind of valid for this list though. Number 3 with 877 votes, Ariel, the Water Archangel. And I totally get it too. By the way, I just now noticed his speed is. I probably noticed this before, but his speed is 95 speed. Wow, that's not a lot of speed, right? Okay, so aside from the fact that he's got a strip on here, okay, damage increase according to your defense, but same as Eladriel that we've discussed in the last video, is not really a lot of damage, right? If they increase the multiplier or something, that'd be cool, because then he can be a support unit that also does some damage too. The second skill, I honestly don't feel like these second skills are really too much of anything. It heals one unit by 50% HP, compared to something like Annabelle. And I always thought that this was like very weak compared to something like Annabelle, where remove the harmful effect on all allies, cleanse of everything, and then recovers their HP. Cleanse and AoE cleanse and heal compared to a 50% heal. Like that's just Annabelle's just better. Second skill, just better. Period. Just better. Third skill, this actually used to be different a long time ago. Fills up the attack bar of all allies by 20% each. Recovers their HP by 40% each. Recovers 15%. It's a regen for 3 turns. Recovers 15% HP. I feel like these Archangels could use a little something to that second skill though. Right? The second skill, even if they did like a higher base speed or something like that, right? Like he just needs to make sense in the meta. He needs a little something more because he used to be a thing back in the day. Like Ariel, it was all about effective HP, right? It was all about effective HP, trying to withstand the Lucian blast of being like Ariel, Rena, Camila, or Ariel, Camila, Rena, Chandra, even on defense, right? Just super tanky water units with the HP, the 50% leader skill, and all that nonsense. But now like people just know how to deal with that. They're like, oh, a really old arena defense of just Ariel, Camila, and Rena. Watch, we're gonna see some of those in Russia. No, we're not. Actually, I think we did see some like the past week or two, haven't we? I see some every once in a while, especially like the last 10 minutes. It's like, let me stick a bunch of HP, like some Marina, some Lilich, and all that stuff. It happens. Anyway, he just doesn't make too much sense in aside from that aspect of arena defense that he used to be a thing for. He's fallen out of meta. He's very slow. His second skill is kind of lacking, and he really doesn't have a place in RTA, for example. Like, what is he? I mean, I guess you could. Maybe he does have a place in RTA, and I'm just not picking him in RTA, and like he actually could have a use. He's cool looking. Man, these Archangels are so cool looking. Like, their outfits. I wish you could use him because, yo, he's an Archangel, man. Like, all of them. Archangels are so cool looking. But, especially that one, yay. And that one too. But all of them are very cool looking units. I just wish they had more usability. They kind of like, they haven't grown and evolved with the times. This skill was buffed, but, it's not what it needs to be with the way that the game is right now. But I am actually curious, now that I'm thinking about it a little bit more, I am actually curious if we're just not using, like, there's a lot of cleaves in RTA. Like, I haven't tried sticking an Ariel in there and seeing what could happen. Like, maybe it actually does work pretty decently, right? Maybe we can stick it in and be like, I mean, it's just would be only a counter cleave mechanic, but maybe I should actually try it out a little bit. But anyway, yeah, Ariel kind of like fell off with the times. He's not really like. Honestly, I feel like he's more of a. We joke about it like storage unit. I feel like Ariel's kind of like. When was the last time I used my Ariel? He's fully Devilmond. When was the last time? I don't even remember the last time I used him. I don't even use him for arena defense. I don't use him for. There's nothing that I use aerial for. I cannot even remember the last time I used him. I know some people are like early game, especially if you get him early game for a healer. Oh, he's a great healer for early game, right? But you know, just for like end game content is like RTA, arena defense. I mean, not arena defense. Yeah, arena defense, high level siege and stuff like that. Like this, just not. He just doesn't do. It doesn't really do anything. So yeah, it would be nice to see him evolve with the times. I feel like it's a valid number 3 placement on the list. Number 2 with 911 votes. If that does not say, "Hey, come to us, emergency," he needs to get buffed ASAP. 911 votes. What does he? Let's talk about what all the amazing things Tanzanite does. I mean, sorry, not Tanzanite. I keep calling him Tanzanite. I know I said that at the beginning. When he first came out, I kept calling him Tanzanite. Tanzate does 93 speed, gross. First skill, you know, it does defense-based damage, stacks up to, you know, it's just a first skill, nothing crazy. This is the provoke, which we talked about before when we were talking about like the wind one. But I feel like even the wind one is a little bit better than this one. And then like AoE provoke, but why do you use that instead of Gene, right? Why do you use that instead of the light paladin? Statue of Robust passive. Your turn ends with less than 30% HP. You'll be turned into a statue until the next turn starts. The targets that attack you will have its attack power decreased for 2 turns and turned into a statue. But it's if your turn ends. So it's like, what do you use him for? Do you use him for Guild War offense? No. Do you use him for Guild War defense? No. Do you use him for like or siege or whatever? No. He's just so slow. Use him for arena offense or defense? Not for offense. Not for defense. Do you use him for RTA? No. Especially he's so slow. He does nothing. You use him for, like, what do you use him for? You could use him for, maybe you could shove him in somewhere in Labyrinth. That's about it. That's about the only place that I could see him being used is, like, shoving him in somewhere in Labyrinth. Count was like, yeah, that's the point of him. Labyrinth. Like, no. Try again, Count to us. 911. 911. Is that way? Yeah. 911. If that isn't a sign, 911 votes to buff the water. He doesn't like. I feel like he's the one that needs it the most, to be honest. But there's one that needs it even more. You guys know what it is? And of course, number 1 on the list with 987 votes, almost cracked 1,000 votes. The poster child for Terrible in Summoner's War. Cien the Water. I don't even know if you just pronounce Cien or Cyan or whatever. Anyway, the poster child for Terrible in Summoner's War. Water Joker. He has been a meme ever since creation. Good old Water Joker. I actually have an idea for how to buff him, though. I actually have an idea. So he's got the first and second skills. Same as Lucian, right? Wow, same as Lucian. He doesn't have a leader skill. He's an attack-based unit. Doesn't have a leader skill for dungeon. It's like, again, HP leader skills are for like early game. It's not really for late game. Revival magic passive revives with invincibility and immunity for 1 turn at the moment of death with 25% HP. Reusable in 8 turns. See, there's some revive mechanics that are like some automatic revive mechanics that are actually pretty good. Like, for example, the Perna revives with full health. But Perna does some pretty. Perna heals the team, right? And he also stuns and he also does big damage. For the Water Joker, and we found a use for the Water Joker like a couple weeks ago or whatever. Using him in teams like anti. Wind Rakshasa teams for siege for siege, but really the thing is like that's people are probably already coming up with different or probably have already come up with different things that don't involve the Wind Rakshasa Yen already. So he's just his 5 seconds of fame is like probably didn't even happen. Like I don't really think anyone actually built him to use him for that. If they did, maybe a couple people were like, "Oh, cool! I can get a week's worth of usage out of him." But that's basically about it. There is, well, did I say even with his passive revives it, invincibility and immunity, 25% HP. I think that if we just add a line in his passive, could make him really good. 25% HP. Additionally, his attacks will do will ignore defense proportionate to the amount of HP you have lost. Hold on. Okay, so then he dies. He comes back to life with invincibility and immunity, so you have to strip him if you want to kill him again, right? And then he's gonna do damage, like for example, this surprise box. AoE surprise box does, a couple debuffs too, but it does 75. If you're still at 25% HP, he's gonna do 75% ignore defense damage with this surprise box. That could make him viable. That could make him a useful anti-cleave unit. This way, you take some damage and then comes back 75% ignore defense with that second skill. Or your first skill, but really thinking about the second skill, right? So he still has an AoE ignore defense, just like Lucian, just like the Water Joker has. Well, he is the Water Joker. The Fire Joker has the bombs, which are ignore defense too, right? So we got more bombs, more ignore defense bombs, and stuff like that. But and then he's kind of like the light one, right? He's kind of like the light one, is that they both have some kind of thing that stops them from dying, right? Or it comes back from the dead, and then this one stops himself from dying. But I just feel like that would maybe make a sense. That would maybe make a sense as a buff for the Water Joker, is just damage proportionate, like additional damage proportionate to your defense that you, attacks will deal extra, or attacks will ignore defense proportionate to the amount of health you've lost. That's what I mean. I don't know why I have to say it wrong the first couple times. But yeah, attacks will deal damage, ignore defense in proportionate to the amount of damage the amount of HP that you've lost. I just feel like that would be an easy way to just make him relevant, right? Anyway, that's it for the list. Again, you guys can vote at where is it? Is it this one? Yeah, poll.schizophrenicgamer.com. Light and Dark is next, because we already did the fire, we already did the wind. Check those out on the channel if you haven't seen them already. So we're gonna do Light and Dark next. So those should be fun. I can only imagine. Hopefully we actually see some of these buffs in the next balance patch, or maybe Comtrust will actually take a look at the video. They probably won't, but maybe they do, and be like, oh, do people actually want the Water Joker buff? Like, yes, 6 years, yes. Anyway, that's it for this one. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I for the most part, I agree with this whole list. Everything really kind of makes sense. Anyway, that's it for this one. I'll see you as always in the next one.